Why stand in line when you can find your own way in? Today, we're talking about Alex Banayan's first groundbreaking idea from the third door, ditch the line. Before we get started, if this is your first time seeing a Busy Book Club video, welcome. My name is Mike, and every day we read a chapter of new and interesting books. Today we are talking about The Third Door by Alex Banayan. Specifically, we're talking about Step 1, Ditch the Line. And to start off, I'll do a quick 1-minute summary. The setup is that the author comes from a family of Persian Jewish immigrants, and they have one very clear expectation for him. He is going to become a doctor. But as he studies pre-med, he finds himself looking at the ceiling. He's struggling with it. And by chance, he gets this opportunity to go on The Price is Right. Even though he doesn't know how to play the game, he somehow, quite miraculously, ends up with a sailboat, which he ends up selling for $16,000. And he uses that money as seed capital for a new venture with his friends, where he goes and interviews the most successful people that he can find. After I read this part of the book, I did struggle a little bit for how to make this video. I wasn't really sure what lessons to glean from it, but because it's kind of a setup chapter, I'll tell you what lessons that I saw in the story. And the first lesson is that when you get out of line, when you decide to ditch the line, you have to pick a direction. And this comes from the fact that Alex clearly did not know what direction he wanted to go. He just knew he didn't want to be a doctor. And this is very evident in the conversation he has with his mother. If you're not going to be a doctor, what are you going to do with your life? Alex says, I don't know. What are you planning to do with a business degree? I don't know. So how are you going to support yourself? I don't know. So it's pretty clear that he's not getting buy-in because he doesn't have any alternate path. He just knows what he doesn't want to do. And it's not until later in chapter 3 when he's speaking with his grandmother, she forces him to promise that he's going to get a master's degree. And that's the only time he starts to get any kind of buy-in. This reminded me a lot of the quote from James Clear, "It generally feels better to run towards something than to run away from something. Focus on what's pulling you in, not what you're trying to avoid." And I think that's a key takeaway for this chapter. That if you decide you're going to change something drastically about the way you do something or about the way your life works, you have to be pretty clear about the direction you want to go. You have to shape the future of what that thing is going to look like, whatever it might be. The second big lesson that I saw in these 3 chapters was that you need to ask for help. As soon as you ditch the line, you are in a new environment. You might not know the context, you might not know the rules or the system of the environment you're operating in. And it's most evident in these chapters because Alex asks for help over and over and over again. When he's actually at The Price is Right, he asks the lady for help because he doesn't know how to play the game. And after she tells him the basic strategy of underbid, always underbid, he starts crowdsourcing strategy from other contestants. And then he doesn't know how to play Showcase Showdown, so he asks Drew Carey for advice, who explains it to him like he's a quote-unquote kindergartner. When he's actually trying to bid in the Showcase Showdown, he's actually getting his guesses from the audience. And then finally, when he starts the whole adventure of looking for successful people, he actually calls his 5 friends, Corwin, Ryan, Andre, Brandon, and Kevin, to help him brainstorm who he's going to talk to. So I will say that in this chapter, the author looked kind of clueless, like he really didn't know what he was doing. But something he does do well is he asks for help a lot. And I think that's a key takeaway, again, for anyone doing something new, that you should look for someone who's already done it. You should look for people who have a strong sense of the right direction to go. Now, before we sign off this video, I did notice something that I just wanted to point out. In chapter 1, right at the beginning, Alex Banayan is waiting to meet Bill Gates. And he says, "As I waited, I thought of all the things that led me here. The red scarf, the toilet in San Francisco, the shoe in Omaha, the cockroach in the Motel 6. And that sentence seemed a little bit out of place to me, until later when Alex meets Stan, the producer who casts contestants on The Price is Right. Stan is wearing a red scarf, Alex comments on the red scarf, and that ends up being how he gets through to Stan, by commenting that he wants to know where Stan got his red scarf. I don't know if it's significant. It's just something I noticed. I'll let you know if I see any of these other items throughout the book. Tomorrow we're reading Step 2, Run Down the Alley. I will see you then.